paying our obeisance to His Divine Grace Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. So we are in our journey for chapter 11. Now chapter 11 has, like we know, 55 verses. And we covered until 34th verse last time. So we will be, Krishna will try to wrap up this chapter today. So the title of the chapter is the Universal Form. And like we have discussed the sections, in our every session. So this chapter starts with Arjuna requesting Krishna to show his universal form. Yeah, because 10th chapter, Krishna concludes with the verse saying that all the opulences which he mentioned is nothing but from a spark, right, of his. So Arjuna is now, he requests then for Krishna to show that universal form. And then, how Krishna gives him a bit of trailer, right, to the whole movie before he displays that, he gives a kind of glimpse as what Arjuna can expect when he can see that universal form. So Krishna describes in short, right, about his universal form. And then how Sanjaya, once Krishna shows the universal form, Sanjaya is describing in parallel to Dhritarashtra, and he describes Arjuna's vision of what Arjuna is seeing from the universal form. And followed by that, then Arjuna shares his experience of seeing the universal form. And we see how, he's wondered, right? He feels that Adbhuta Rasa. He feels wondrous and he gets bewildered, right, by seeing that universal form. We also saw how physical changes he offers, the hair standing on his body, all the goosebumps coming up, and what he's feeling, looking at the whole sky covered with the universal form of Krishna. Then in the end, after he sees the Kala Rupa, the Ugra Rupa, right, he is fearful. And then he asks Krishna, who are you? Two questions, right? Who are you and what is your mission? And then Krishna replies that time I am, right? And he asks, that nimitta matram, Krishna asks him, just be, become my instrument, because Arjuna has already seen Bhishma, Drona, all the Kauravas going in Krishna's terrible mouth with that tooth, some of them even squashed in between his teeth. So, that's why Krishna is now, clearly saying, just be my instrument, and then now today we will cover the last two sections, which is Arjuna's prayers and how to see any form of Krishna, may it be universal form, 400, 200, any form of Krishna. The prerequisite means the prior thing which we need is pure bhakti. Only that will allow, to see the universal form, to see any form of Krishna. Yeah? So today we'll start with Arjuna's prayers. Now, the 35th verse is where again, Arjuna's prayer starts, but Sanjaya is describing this to Dhritarashtra. So this shloka is spoken by Sanjaya to Dhritarashtra. Yeah. So Sanjaya starts by saying that, O king, after hearing these words from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the trembling Arjuna offered obeisances with folded hands again and again. He fearfully spoke to Lord Krishna in a faltering voice as follows. Right? See, as we have already explained, right, in our prior classes, that because this universal form was the first time, Krishna mentioned in the starting section that this is the first time he's showing such a form. So because the situation, the whole thing with the universal form, which Krishna made, Arjuna became bewildered. He became fearful, right? He was wondering, right? So thus now Arjuna realizes that, wow, this is like, he is the supreme, and looking at the vastness, he starts, he began to offer his respectful obeisances to Krishna. And we have to see here, Sanjaya is clearly mentioning that Arjuna is folding his hands and he's paying obeisances to Krishna again and again, not once, but again and again. And his voice is faltered, means he's stammering, right, because of the adbhut feature he has seen, right. So with that, this prayers of Arjuna, we have tried, because it is from shloka 36 to 46. For our better understanding, it is kind of divided into 4 sections. First is Arjuna starts the prayers by glorifying Krishna. Yeah, from starting 3 verses, 36 to 38, we'll see how Arjuna is glorifying Krishna's opulence and all. Yeah, and then he starts paying obeisances. Following 2 verses, we'll see Arjuna is paying obeisances. Yeah, and then followed by that, 4 verses, we'll see Arjuna apologizes to Krishna. Because he always looked at Krishna in a friend way, right? So he starts apologizing that he has been so informal and he might have said so many things, and we'll see that in the verses, right? So he apologizes to Krishna, and in the end, he places the request. Yeah. So this is like 4 broad categories, and we see usually when we talk about any prayers, like Kunti Maharani prayer, Bhishma's prayers, they always, we'll see in Bhagavatam also, when somebody is praying, like we see quite a lot, instances where the demigods also go to pray for Vishnu, right? Shirodaksha Vishnu, right? In the Ksheer Sagar. And, the prayers are usually, we see that they start with glorifying the Lord. You glorify the Lord, and then you start, the next. So it always, we see that it starts with glorification of Krishna, or any form of Krishna. Yeah? So with that, we'll start with the first verse of the prayers, which is the first part, which is glorifying, glorification. So Hari Krishna Prabhuji, okay, do we have?
Yeah, yes, Mataji. Yeah, it's Arjuna said, "O master of the senses, the world becomes joyful upon hearing your name, and thus everyone becomes attached to you. Although the perfected beings offer you their respectful homage, the demons are afraid and they flee here and there. All this is rightly done." Bhagavad Gita 11.36.
Thank you. So Arjuna is calling Krishna now master of senses, means Rishikesh. Yeah, we'll see different terms which he uses again, So he's calling Krishna, Krishna is the master of all senses, right? So yeah, that is Rishikesh. That's why he's called as Rishi. So he's saying the world becomes joyful upon hearing your name. See, again, the thing with hearing, it's so important. We all are looking for happiness, right? Joy. And Arjuna is saying just by Krishna's name, we get that. And that's why Prabhupada always, there was a tagline, right? Chant and be happy. Why? Because when we chant, we hear. And that's why in every Japa talk we see the importance of when you chant, it's important to hear what you're chanting. That's very important. Only then we will see the heart, transform. It's very important that we are, chanting is, but when you are telling the Mahamantra, it is important that you hear every word very clearly of that Mahamantra. Yeah. So hearing, we have seen even in 7th chapter, Krishna says, Shrunu, right? That is to hear. The first verse itself, Krishna says, that's Shrunu. So hearing is something which is, why we say that? Because even when you chant, you have to hear what you're chanting, because hearing the name develops that attachment to Krishna, hence it is very important, so to hear it. Only hearing can develop that attachment to Krishna. Okay. Now, after that, Arjuna is saying, perfected beings offer respectful homage. The demons are afraid. They flee here and there, right? Just the name is enough, For devotees, the way it gives joy. For demons, they flee here and there. Devotees, no matter which form they see of Krishna, they are not afraid. They are not afraid. Um, because see, even in here, Arjuna was in that, we studied the primary rasa and the secondary, right? In the secondary rasa, there was an Adbhut rasa, which was in wonder, in, amazed, right? Here, Arjuna was in that rasa, he was at the same time, like we can take the example of Hiranyakashipu, right? He was, when he saw Narsimhadev, he was afraid. He was fleeing, everybody around were fleeing here and there. But who wasn't afraid? Yes, Prahlad Maharaj, right? So it is only devotees, who are not afraid of any form of Krishna. They know, Krishna is here to, for the devotees. Yeah, and it is only devotees who can calm down the Lord. We see even in Narsimha avatar how different demigods also came to to calm Narsimhadev, right, after killing Hiranyakashipu. But it was only Prahlad Maharaj who could calm him down, right? So that's why Arjuna is glorifying Krishna, that you are the master of senses, just your name does everything. So that's the glory of Krishna. Yeah, and further in 37th verse also it is glorification. um, and Jyoti Mataji, can you read it? Okay, well, maybe we'll move. Kavya Mataji, can you?
Yes, Mataji. Glorification. O great one, Mahatma, greater even than Brahma, you are the original creator, Adi Katre. Why then should they not offer their respectful obeisances unto you? O limitless one, Anant, God of gods, Devasa, refuge of the universe, Jagan Nivasa, you are the invincible source, Akasram, the cause of all causes, transcendental to this material manifestation. Sat Asat Param. Bhagavad Gita 11.37. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So, following the same last words, see, there are many important words here, right? Mahatma. Yeah, Arjuna is addressing Krishna as Mahatma, which means he is the most magnanimous person. Yeah, he is Mahatma. And then he highlights he is even greater than Brahma. You are the original creator, Adi Kartre. Yeah. So and then we have learned this, right? That, and we will learn it, and I have repeated it, I think, in past, that how the primary creation is done by the different Purusha avatars of Krishna, right? Mahavishnu, Garbhodaksha Vishnu, Shirodaksha Vishnu. And how the secondary creation is done by Brahma. Brahma is coming out of the lotus stem of Garbhodaksha Vishnu. So when we are talking about the original creator, it's Krishna, and the secondary creation is done by Brahma, and that's why, Arjuna is also highlighting here, God of gods, Devesha, and that's why all the, demigods, they take refuge to Krishna. They pay their obeisances because Krishna is the controller of all the demigods as well, and he is above all of them. If Brahma is born out of the lotus stem, of Purusha avatar of Krishna, then demigods are coming out of Brahma, right? It's Brahma who is then creating, right? So, so therefore, Brahma, Lord Shiva, all demigods, they offer their respectful obeisances, and that's why we see whenever there is a problem, they all approach, the Vishnu form, right? So, and then he is called as Ananta, limitless. There is no limit. There is nothing which is not covered by the energy of Supreme, in universes. Everything is covered by the, energy of Krishna. He is limitless. It is covered everywhere, each and every point. Yeah. And then aksharam. Yeah, this is a very important word. The word aksharam is pretty significant because, see, this aksharam means invincible or indestructible. Yeah. And this material creation, as we know, it is subject to destruction. But the Lord is above the material creation. Yeah. So he's highlighting that you are aksharam. And then in the end, sad asat param. Yeah. He is the param. He is the topmost. Yeah. Transcendental to this material manifestation. Yeah. And we will study in Bhagavatam how different demigod stories, Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, all the demigods, how the Lord is respected by each of them, in different stories over there. So with that, this is the last verse of glorification, which is the 38th verse, where Arjuna is overall saying that Krishna is ultimate shelter of everything. Okay. Ramaprabha Mataji, can you read this?
Yes, Mataji. Krishna is ultimate shelter of everything. Tvam adi deva purushaha puranash, tvam ashya vishwasya param nidanam, vetashi vedyam cha param cha dama, dvayatatam vishwam ananta rupa. You are the original personality of Godhead, the oldest, the ultimate sanctuary of this manifested cosmic world. You are the knower of everything, and you are all this is knowable. You are the supreme refuge above the material modes. O limitless form, this whole cosmic manifestation is pervaded by you. Bhagavad Gita 11.38.
Thank you. So we see some of the pieces here Arjuna is repeating because he is in ecstasy, so he's repeating in different ways, so he is calling Krishna again that you are the original personality of God, you are the oldest. Yeah. And Krishna himself said before that he is the oldest, but he is also, the most, he is always in his youth form. Yeah. Even though he's the oldest, he's always in his youth form. Yeah. And then he's saying the ultimate sanctuary of this manifested cosmic world. You are knower of everything. See, the word here, nidhanam, in the second line, that means that everything, even the effulgence, Brahman effulgence, rests on the Supreme Personality of God. Nidhanam is something where something can rest upon. Yeah, something where you can take refuge. Okay. So be it the effulgence or anything, there are different philosophies, right, which we went through that they find that the effulgence is the topmost aspect of the absolute truth. But there are several places in Bhagavad Gita where we have seen before as well, that even the effulgence, it is taking refuge in the Supreme Personality of God. And Arjuna is clearly saying here that. Okay. Now he is also saying he is the knower of everything that is happening in this world. Yeah. See, if knowledge has any end, then Krishna is the end of all knowledge. That's why he's the object of knowledge. But when we say object, we'll study this in 13th chapter, that it's gayam. There's a word which they use, which Krishna uses, and it is nothing but what is the object of knowledge? What is it that you want to be known? What you want to be to know. Sorry, what you want to know. So Krishna is the goal, right? So he is the object of our knowledge. Yeah? Therefore, he is the known, and he is also the knowable. He knows everything, but he is also the one whom we need to know, right? He is knowable. Okay, so those are the two things here. Yeah, he is the object of our knowledge because he's all pervading. Yeah, because he is the cause of all causes, right? He is transcendental. Yeah. Okay. So, and again, he's highlighting here that you are the supreme refuge. Beyond this, there is no other refuge. That's why he's the nidhanam. Yeah. and he's above the material modes. We learned that. Again, he's calling him Ananta here, or limitless. Yeah, the whole cosmic manifestation is pervaded. Okay. Now, next comes the obeisances part. So we finished the glorification. Now the obeisances. He starts paying the obeisances now. So he's calling, you are the air, you are air, and you are the supreme controller. You are fire, you are water, you are the moon, you are Brahma, the first living creature, and you are the great grandfather. I therefore offer my respectful obeisances unto you 1,000 times, and again and yet again. Yeah. And then again he says, obeisances to you from the front, from behind, from all sides. O unbounded power, you are master of limitless might. You are all pervading, and thus you are everything. So we can really see he's running out of words, and he is so internally at ecstasy, right, Arjuna? He's trying his best to convey that, you are the supreme, right? Now he's acknowledging that you are the supreme controller, and you are like the Agni, Dev, the Vayu, the Chandra, Varuna, all, they are under him. You are Brahma, so he's saying that all of them are under you, right? So, and we call Brahma as, like grandfather. So he's, Para means he's the, Krishna is addressed here as great grandfather. If Brahma is grandfather, then you are great grandfather. Yeah. And like we have highlighted here, 1,000 times yet again and again, he's paying obeisances. Why? Because see, in his friendship relation with Krishna, we have to understand that Arjuna always felt the sweetness of Krishna, as a friend. He always, saw how Krishna helped them in every instant, how Krishna's advices, how his informal gestures with Arjuna. So Arjuna always saw the sweetness side of Krishna. But now he's realizing Krishna's greatness, how great he is, and Arjuna suddenly realizes his behavior with him as a friend, versus to the greatness of level of Krishna is. He's the supreme. And that's why he starts asking forgiveness to Krishna in the next verses. Okay. So now the next verse, we go to forgiveness, which is the third part of it. So the first we said glorification, obeisances, now forgiveness, and in the end he requests. Yeah. So forgive my offenses. That's what Arjuna is saying. So maybe I can Reshma Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Thinking of you as my friend, I have rashly addressed you, O Krishna, O Yadava, O my friend, not knowing your glories. Please forgive whatever I may have done in madness or in love. I have dishonored you and you many times. Jesting as we relaxed, lay on the same bed, or sat or ate together, sometimes alone and sometimes in front of many friends. O infallible one, please excuse me for all those offenses. Bhagavad Gita 11.41 to 42 verses. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. So how sweetly he is saying that, I used to call you with so many different names, it was my immaturity or my foolishness. Now I'm knowing your glories, and, please forgive me. Because whatever, see, Arjuna did was out of love, right? He loved Krishna, he's a pure devotee, and that's why he's feeling more bad, and they sat together. What didn't they do? They sat together, they ate together, they spent so much time as friends, right? And suddenly, just imagine you are spending, he was his best friend. So you're spending time day and night with your best friend. And one day you realize that, oh, this person is a big shot. And, and we see this kind, so similar thing for Arjuna. It's not just that he's a big person, he's the supreme person, it turned out, right? So it is like dumb. We cannot even imagine what he's going through. Yeah. See, although Krishna is manifested before Arjuna in his universal form, Arjuna still, even after seeing that, we see that he still remembers his friendly relationship with Krishna, you know, and he's there. That's why asking his forgiveness, you know, to excuse him for all the informal gestures he had done out of friendship, may be teasing, may be, you know, to any extreme. Yeah. So the relationship between this should make us understand that the relationship between a living entity and Krishna is fixed, eternal. You know, like those five rasas we spoke about: Shantarasa, Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya. You know, these are eternally. Each one of us have a relationship with Krishna eternally. You know, but because our, you know, dormant state, you know, our love is not, you know, we are not able to be aware of. Yeah. So although Arjuna has seen the opulence, we cannot forget his friendly relationship with Krishna, you know, because he is a pure devotee, he knows, right? And see, in Arjuna was in Sakya Rasa, right? Friendship Rasa with Krishna. And Acharyas, they say that there are, you know, that even in Sakya Rasa, there are two types. One is called, you know, as Gaurav Sakya, and the other one is called as Vishrambhaya Sakya. Now, in Gaurava Sakya, it is like what Arjuna is experiencing. You know, he's right now covered with knowledge about greatness of Krishna. You know, and that is called as Gaurav. He knows the Gaurav, yeah, Gaurav Sakya. But if we compare the same thing with the Gopas in Vrindavan, they were also Krishna's friend. They used to eat with Krishna, you know, in Krishna's plate only, and Krishna used to eat them in their plate, and they used to eat each other's food, and you know, they used to play together. They treated Krishna always only as a friend. Yeah. And they were never covered by that knowledge of divinity of Krishna, you know, and that is Vishwambraya Sakya. Yeah. So they never asked, you know, they never said sorry, please. No, it was all Krishna, you have to do this. They had a different, you know, because they were never covered by that knowledge of Krishna's divinity. Yeah? So that's where Arjuna is asking for forgiveness. And then followed by that 43rd verse, Krishna's incomparable powers. So he's again, glorified that you are the father of this complete cosmic manifestation of the moving and non-moving. You are its worshipable chief, the supreme spiritual master. No one is greater than you, nor can anyone be with you. How then could there be anyone greater than you within the three worlds, O Lord of immeasurable power? You know, he's calling Krishna as the supreme spiritual master because it's Krishna who even imparted that to Brahma, right? So, you know, the whole knowledge of it, right? He's the spiritual master because he's originally given the Vedic instructions to Brahma. Yeah. And also, you know, and presently also what he's doing, he's giving Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, right? So, and any, and all, like we studied, the knowledge, the spiritual knowledge should always be taken in the discipline for succession, right? Only then it can transform you, you know, because you see, if there are 700 commentaries of Bhagavad Gita written, you can imagine the amount of successions you can find everywhere, but it's not, you know, we have to be, very clear that we have to take this knowledge from authorized disciplic succession. Yeah? And we see how Krishna gave it to Brahma, Brahma gave it to Narada. We see the whole chain. I think it's also mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita book, which we have, you know, the whole disciplic succession as how it came down, you know, until now, yeah, until Prabhupada. Okay, so with that, yeah, right. Now he's asking, he's requesting, please tolerate me. Yeah. So Jyoti Mataji, will you be able to read it?
Yes, Mataji. Please tolerate me. You are the Supreme Lord to be worshipped by every living being. Thus, I fall down to offer you my respectful obeisances and ask your mercy. As a father tolerates the impudence of his son, a friend the impotence of a friend, or a husband the familiarity of his wife, Please tolerate the wrongs I may have done you. Bhagavad Gita 11.44. Hare
Thank
Krishna
you.
Mataji.
Thank you. See, again, he's requesting Krishna to, forgive him, right? To tolerate him, and he's giving different relationships, just as a father tolerates, a son's mistake, right? He's requesting, as a friend relation or a father or as a husband, he's asking, please, tolerate the wrongs I may have done to you, So that's what again Arjuna is saying. And then, yes, now 45th verse, we see that after seeing this universal form, which I have never seen before, I'm gladdened. That's what Arjuna is saying. But at the same time, my mind is disturbed with fear. Therefore, please bestow your grace upon me and reveal again your form as the personality of God, O Lord of Lords, O abode of the universe. Right? Now, Arjuna is requesting him, even though, your this form is amazing, but my mind is disturbed with fear. Yeah. Therefore, please reveal again your form. Yeah. He is disturbed by seeing that Ugra Roop, the Kala Roop. Yeah. And here, Arjuna specifically, when he's saying your form, again, we'll see in the next verse that he specifically asks Krishna to show his 400 Narayana form. Okay. And we'll see that in the next verse. So in the purport of this verse, Prabhupada has mentioned, for us to understand it better. So Kavya Mataji, can you read?
Yes, Mataji. There were innumerable planets in the spiritual sky, and in each of them, Krishna is present by his plenary manifestations of different names. Thus, Arjuna desired to see one of the forms manifest in the Vaikuntha planets. Of course, in each Vaikuntha planet, the form of Narayana is four-handed, but the four-handed hold different arrangements of symbols. The conch shell, mace, lotus, and disk. According to the different hands, these four things are held in. The Narayanas are variously named. All of these forms are one with Krishna. Therefore, Arjuna requests to see his four-handed features. Bhagavad Gita 11.45 purport. Hare Krishna. Mataji, you are mute.
Thank you. Sorry. So Arjuna is requesting, see, in spiritual sky, there are different planets. Okay. It is variegated. That's why we say there is variegatedness. Okay. There are different planets there. And these are in Vaikuntha. Yeah. And each planet, has Narayana form, 400 form. Yeah. Now, Narayana in the four-handed form, we know the four hands have what? Konchal, mace, or you can say Shankha, Gada, the lotus, and the Sudarshan, disk, right? Now, there are actually, depending on which of these four is held in what hand, there is a different Narayana form name for that. Okay? If the lotus is held on the right hand, upper hand, and the rest in rest places, then that form of Narayana is named as a different Narayana form. It's much detailed, but just for us to understand, based on the placement of these four, symbols, there are different Narayana forms. Yeah. And Arjuna wants to see, that form of Krishna. Yeah. And that's why different names of Krishna are given based on the placement of these four symbols. For example, Achyuta, Purushottama, these are the different forms, based on where the symbols are placed in four hands. And the planet is also named with the same of that name of Narayana. Okay, name of that form of Krishna. Okay, so this is for us to understand why Arjuna is requesting to see that 400. Yeah. Now, further to this, yes, this is the verse. So the 46th verse is the Narayana form. So Arjuna is saying, O universal form, O thousand-armed Lord, I wish to see you in your four-armed form, with helmeted head and with club, wheel, conch, and lotus flower in your hand. I long to see you in that form. Yeah. So there are innumerable forms, but Arjuna knows that Krishna is the original personality of God. You know, that's why he is asking to see that Narayana form, that spiritual form. You know, this verse actually establishes without any doubt the statement of Srimad Bhagavatam that Krishna is the original personality of Godhead. And all other features originate from him. See, from Krishna, the 400 form comes out. From Krishna, the universal form came. And the universal form again came in Krishna. And the 400 form we'll see again going into Krishna. Right? So be it any form, everything is originating from Krishna. Okay? So it is very clear that he is the original personality of God. And from him, all the forms, no matter which, they come out. You know, he's not different from the planetary expansions. Yeah, he's the God. Yeah, but and he has innumerable forms. Yeah, and we have to remember in each of these forms, he is fresh youth. He's a fresh like young man. That's the constant feature of Krishna. Yeah. Now, and that's why we say once somebody understands this, they will be at once free from all the contaminations of this material. Okay. Now, further, this is the last section of this chapter, which is pure bhakti is prerequisite. Now, after hearing everything from Arjuna, Krishna speaks. Yeah. And Krishna speaks how rare it is to see Krishna's universal form. First, he will say how rare it is to see universal form. And then we will further in the shloka see, Krishna says it is more rare to see his two-handed form. So we'll come there. So rarity of seeing Krishna's universal form. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "My dear Arjuna, happily have I shown you by my internal potency this supreme universal form within this material world. No one before you has ever seen this primal form, unlimited and full of glaring effulgence." Okay. O best of the Kuru warriors, no one before you have ever seen this universal form of mine. For neither by studying Vedas, nor by performing sacrifices, nor by charity, nor by pious activities, nor by severe penances can I be seen in this form and material. It's very, we can see how Krishna repeatedly, twice, he's again and again saying, he has already mentioned this earlier in the 11th chapter, that, this form nobody has seen before. It's so special. And he's highlighting again twice here, once in 47th verse and 48th verse as well. See, Krishna is in a way also, you can say, teasing Arjuna, that it was you who requested to show me to show the universal form. And it is you now who is saying that you are fearful, I don't want to see this form. Right? But that's why he's highlighting no one has seen this before. I showed because you asked, for it. So, see, prior to this, we saw instances where Krishna showed his universal form, but partially, like in his mouth when Yashoda Mata saw it, right? And also when he went to Hastinapur, he showed his form to, to Duryodhana, Bhishma, Drona, right? But it was partial universal form. That Kala Rupa feature, that Ugra Rupa was not there, shown at that time. So Prabhupada says in the purport that because of Arjuna, even demigods could see this form. So whoever was devoted to Krishna at that moment, just because of the request from Arjuna, all of them could see, who were given that vision. They could see this universal form. So they were fortunate as well. And the other thing which is very important for us to note here is how Krishna is highlighting just by studying Vedas, performing sacrifices, pious activities, penances, you cannot see any form of Krishna. There are people who say, I don't have time to do, these spiritual tasks, the sadhana and all. So I'll just donate. I'll just perform some rituals, and that's all. So see, when Krishna clearly again states further in the verse that just by being a scholar in Vedas, by just knowing to recite many verses, for example, or, it will not. It will not allow you to see the form of Krishna, to see Krishna. You know, just by doing many ritualistic activities, doing many penances, austerities, and being quite a lot of people are just in the mode of goodness. We will learn this further. 3 modes, mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. Just being in the mode of goodness will not allow you to see, to experience Krishna. Yeah, because spiritual thing, Krishna bhakti is above the mode of goodness. It is Shuddha Sattva, just not Sattva. It is Shuddha, pure, pure goodness. It is. So, but yes, goodness is a good platform for us to gain that. Okay, to start that bhakti process. Okay, but the bottom line is just by knowing everything, being a scholar, doing sacrifices, it will not. Krishna is clearly saying that he will not be seen, by anyone. Okay. Now further, maybe Kavya Mataji, can you read this?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay. Yeah, I'll allow you. I think I just asked you. Right? That's fine.
Okay. You have been perturbed and bewildered by seeing this horrible feature of mine. Now let it be finished. My devotee, be free again from all disturbances. With a peaceful mind, you can now see this form you desire. Bhagavad Gita 11.49. Hare Krishna.
Great. Thank you. Now Krishna is so merciful. Immediately he's saying, because this is, making you perturbed, bewildered, this horrible feature of mine, he's calling that also horrible feature of mine. Let me take it back, so that my devotee is not disturbed. He doesn't like his devotee to be in that place. Right? Now, message in this verse, one thing which we have to take that, how it is, how we can apply that in our life. Just as Arjuna got bewildered, fearful, we might also come across so many instances in our life where we are bewildered. We lose our composure, right? It may be anything, maybe one of our family members falling sick, or losing a closed one, or any issues with our job, or financial losses, anything, So anything. What did Arjuna do? Again, he took the shelter of Krishna. So Krishna is saying that if we take shelter of Krishna during these circumstances, when there are disturbances around us, if we take his shelter, then we can face these challenges much better. Otherwise, what we tend to do is we keep thinking about that problem itself. We keep contemplating on that problem. Which does not allow us to depend on Krishna. So dependence of Krishna is very important, because it's very important for us to realize internally that not everything is in our hand, right? In fact, nothing is in our hand, right? We saw this before also with several examples, So we have to have learned that art of being dependent on Krishna. Then Krishna will take care. So when we come across disturbing circumstances, rather it should be that, we always come across, right, that today this happened, so I couldn't chant well, I couldn't serve, Rather, when we come across such disturbing circumstances, we should depend on Krishna more. That is, we should chant more, we should serve more. That should how we should be, and if we do more, see, if the level of the disease is high, then the dosage of the medicine should be high, right? If the level of the disturbance in our body is high, but if we continue with this, either with the same level of medication or with lesser medication, it will not help you to cure the disease. So the higher, the severe the disease is, the higher we should take the medication, right? So the higher the external disturbances we have, the higher we should depend on Krishna by performing our sadhana. Okay. So, okay. So next 50 and 51st verse. Ramaprabha Mataji, can you read it?
Transcendental eternal form. Sanjaya said to Dhritarashtra, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, having spoken thus to Arjuna, displayed his real four-armed form and at last showed his two-armed form, thus encouraging the fearful Arjuna. When Arjuna thus saw Krishna in his original form, he said, O Janardana, seeing this human like form, Manusham Rupam, so very beautiful, I am now composed in my mind and I am restored my original nature. Bhagavad Gita 11.50 and 51.
Thank you. So now Sanjay is saying to Dhritarashtra, yeah, that after Krishna said, let me ease you down, he displayed his four-armed form, and in the end, then from four-hand, he turned himself into the two-armed form. Krishna knows in end, Arjuna would like to see the two-handed form, because as devotees, we relate ourselves with only the two-handed form, Shamsundar form of Krishna. As devotees, we would like reciprocation, right? We would like to reciprocate, we would like to serve, we would like to love. And with the universal form, we cannot, because it is so vast, right? And even 400 form, Narayana form is, actually worshipped in awe and reverence. It's like, what do we say? Say, I am at home in my bedroom, okay? And that is different from a office, Nikita, right? The office form is more formalized. When my child sees me in office, the behavior would be different versus when my child sees me at home, right? So when in office, it is more of awe and reverence, more of respect, more of duty and service and all. Yeah, it's that form, and Narayana form is done usually served in awe and reverence. It's only the two-handed form which can be reciprocated with love, with that personal love. Okay, so Arjuna, after seeing all the forms, he says in the end, right here, that the Manusham Rupam is the most beautiful, right? He is declaring that the human-like form, is the most beautiful. And we have to understand, does anyone of you know the meaning of Krishna, the word Krishna?
All attractive.
Yes. So Krishna name itself means all attractive. So obviously it has to be the most beautiful form, right? So it is the most beautiful. Even human-like form cannot be seen by all. Don't think it can be easily seen by all. See, Krishna was present in front of Duryodhana, Shishupal, all these people. But did they see him as Krishna? No. They thought him as a Mayavi, right? So to see the two-handed form of Krishna also, the component needed is bhakti, that love. That is the prerequisite. Two-handed form, we have to know it is the original form. It is the form from which all the other forms come out, emanate. Okay, and that is the form. Two-handed Shamsundar form is the form Krishna is present in Golok Vrindavan. Okay, that is the most original form. Yeah, original. Okay, with that we'll come to the I think yes, the last 3-4 verses. Now the last section 52 to 55, it talks about Krishna's personal form glories. Now 52nd and 53rd verse, Krishna is saying the rarity of seeing Krishna's human-like form, like we just mentioned. It is rare, even more rare. And then 54th verse, Krishna is known and seen only by Ananya Bhakti. That's what he says. And 55th verse is very important verse. Actually, Prabhupada says that this is the essence of Bhagavad Gita, this verse, where it says that we have to perform bhakti and then we'll attain Krishna. Okay, So Krishna glorifies his personal form and importance of the component of bhakti in these verses. Okay. Now, yeah, 52nd verse. So Shri Bhagwan Uvacha Sudurdasham idam rupam drishtavan asiyan mama deva api yasya rupasya nityam darshana kankshinaha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, my dear Arjuna, this form of mine you are now seeing is very difficult to behold. Even the demigods are ever seeking the opportunity to see this form, which is so dear. Krishna is talking about his sweet two-handed form. Yeah. Krishna is saying it is even more rarer to see the two-handed form than the universal form also. Yeah. And that is the two-handed form is to be considered as supreme. Even demigods strive to see this form. You know, in 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, we see when Devaki was had conceived Krishna and she had Krishna in her womb. Demigods like Brahma and all the demigods actually, they used to come and visit Devaki to have darshan of Krishna. You know, and we also see how even demigods get bewildered. You know, like with that Brahma Vimohan Leela, where Brahmaji got bewildered. You know, how can such a small boy who is eating the food from others' plate, and playing around, how can he, right? He got bewildered seeing Krishna's two-handed form. And the same thing happened with what? Indra, right? He didn't realize seeing the two-handed form that it is the Supreme Personality of God. Only after the Govardhan Leela, he realized that, right? So, and beautifully Brahma Samhita, which is written by Brahmaji, it clearly states that until and unless our eyes are not anointed with love, we cannot see Krishna. It is very clear. And that's why Krishna is saying it is even more rare to see his two-handed form, as the Supreme. Now, 53rd verse, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, can you read it?
Yeah, yes, Maharaj. The form you are seeing with your transcendental eyes cannot be understood simply by studying the Vedas, nor by undergoing serious penances, nor by charity, nor by worship. It is not by these means that one can see me as I am. Bhagavad Gita 11.53.
Thank you. So see, prior, I think it was verse number 48, right? Where Krishna stated that similar activities cannot allow anyone to see him, and see his universal form. Penances and, charity and pious activities. These will not allow anybody to see the universal form. Now he's saying same, cannot also allow to see his personal form, moreover. Yeah. Just by performing penances, nobody can see Krishna. There's a beautiful story in Bhagavatam, 10th canto, of Brahmanas and Brahmana's wife. Yeah. So Krishna and his friends will be playing in the forest, and his friends are hungry. So Krishna, they see a Brahmanas, they are performing sacrifices and performing penances there nearby. So, Krishna says to his friends, we can, you can go there and ask for some food, and and these all the boys, gopas, they go. Brahmanas are performing sacrifice there, and they ask, and they say that Krishna and Balram are there, and still the Brahmanas, they are so much busy in performing the ritualistic activities that they say that no, we cannot, we are busy right now, we cannot do much, and they send them back. Now Krishna, what he does is he sends the gopas to Brahmana's wives, and the gopas go to Brahmana wife, and Brahmana's wives, as soon as they hear Krishna and Balram are there in the forest, whatever food they had, it just took the whole thing, and they disregard, they didn't listen to their husband Brahmanas, and they went to the forest, they rushed to the forest to feed Krishna and Balram. So Brahmanas are so qualified. They are well versed in Vedas. They know all the sacrifices, everything. But we see how here, all you need is love for Krishna and Balram. Yeah, the purpose of Vedas actually is not to become scholar, not to raise your this thing bar. The purpose of Vedas, the essence is to know Krishna. And that's what Krishna will see in 15th chapter, I think it is 15th verse, where he says, Vedeshya sarver ahameva vidya. He says, I am the one who has to be known by the Vedas. I am the essence of Veda. Yeah. So the purpose of studying scripture should not be to show off the intelligence, or the number of shlokas we know, or the number of instances we know. Rather, it should be for us to be able to gain bhakti for Krishna, to be able to gain that love component for Krishna. Yeah. And then everything flows. Everything flows. Yeah? So now we will come to the last but one verse for today, which is the 54th. And this is Bhaktyatva Ananyaya Shakya Aham Evam Vidho Arjuna Jnatum Drashtum Cha Tatvena Praveshtum Cha Parantapa. So, my dear Arjuna, only by undivided devotional service can I be understood as I am standing before you, and can thus be seen directly. Only in this way can you enter into the mysteries of my understanding. Yeah. So again, undivided devotional service. Yeah. Krishna is setting the criteria to know him. Yeah. Undivided devotional service means unconditional love for Krishna. And that is called as Ananya Bhakti. Yeah. Unconditioned. There is no condition. Unconditional love means, like, for example, we visit pilgrimage places, right? Let's say many devotees go to Vrindavan. Yeah. And there are thousands who perform the Govardhan Parikrama also, right? Now you will see most of them, they do it with a desire, that, Krishna, please bestow this to me, the Krishna, please do this to me. Yeah. But so unmotivated bhakti is something where you don't have any motivation to ask for self desire, but you're doing that as part of love, that, oh, Krishna was here, he placed his foot here, and I'm getting the blessings of this. And to learn, from the from senior devotees there, from pure bhaktas there, right, to experience that, right, so that we can eventually gain the pure love for Krishna. That is what is, which should be the mindset. But most of them, they do it with an expectation of return. The pure devotee mindset is, the only aim for a pure devotee is to please Krishna, not to please self, which is most of the times, right, which is the case. So only by bhakti we can know any form of Krishna. That's the bottom line here, what Krishna is saying. Only by undivided devotional service. Yeah. Now the last verse for today. Reshma Mataji, can you read it?
Yes, Mataji. Matkarma krum matkarma krum paramo madbhaktaha manvarjitaha nirvairaha sarvabhuteshu yaha sa mameti pandavaha. My dear Arjuna, he who engages in my pure devotional service, free from the contaminations of fruitive activities, and mental speculation. He who works for me, who makes me the supreme goal of his life, and who is friendly to every living being, he certainly comes to me. Bhagavad Gita 11.5.
Thank you. See, Krishna here, like we studied the verse of 9.34, right? That man mana bhava madbhakti. Yeah, there were several instances where similarly here Krishna mentions mat on to me 3 times, right? Mat karma kran. You know, he's saying, do your karma, do your work for me. Yeah. Mat paramo. You know, paramo means topmost. You know, make me as your topmost goal. Yeah. Mad bhaktah, become my devotee. Sangha varjitah means become free from association or fruitive activities. Yeah. Varjita means, you know, push it away, you know, decline it. That's varjita. Yeah. Nirvairaha sarva bhuteshu. Yeah. Someone who has no enemies, you know, treating everybody friendly. Yahasa mam eti pandava. Yeah. So he will come back to me, Krishna said. You know, see, we will always have temporary goals in our life. Krishna is not declining them, you know, based on our material life, right? But we should see, you know, maybe someone wants to become a businessman. That's the goal, yeah, to be successful in business. Yes, you know, but we have to be clear. That's our temporary goal. You know, we should always see through our temporary goal, how can we contribute to our primary goal, which is bhakti of Krishna. You know, maybe the businessman, you know, they can, you know, they can always try to dovetail that into Krishna consciousness by helping to, you know, construct temples. You know, there are different ways they can contribute. So overall, you know, Krishna should be our primary goal, and we have learned this before, right? How we need to dovetail, you know, which Krishna is not declining, right? We have to dovetail our consciousness, our activities, such that it is Krishna focused, you know, in the center. Yeah. Now, with that, from the purport, we have just picked up something important. So, Jyoti Mataji, can you read it?
Yes, Mataji. Conditioned souls are engaged in the material world with the purpose of lording it over nature and who do not know of the real spiritual life. The Bhagavad Gita is meant to show how one can understand his spiritual existence and his eternal relationship with the Supreme Spiritual Personality and to teach one how to go back home, back to Godhead. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So I think it's pretty self-explanatory, right? That what is the importance of Bhagavad Gita, right? It is through this that we always, I think there is a thought process we always have, right? That I don't have time for this. And as you start reading Bhagavad Gita, you will see how slowly you are the same, the day is same, the time of the day is same, you know, the number of hours in the day, but still we are able to accommodate, you know, our sadhana, right? Slowly we'll see how, you know, a few years back, what I used to complain versus now where I am, you know, I'm actually able to fit in more of this, right? So we become actually over and over efficient in due course because Krishna is setting things up around us, you know, for a free flow so that it allows us to do this. Yeah? So with that, I think we will conclude today's session, and that completes the 11th chapter.